Thanks, Matt, and welcome everybody. We've already been in a closed session, just came out, so we're already opened up. So the next item of business is the minutes of the previous meeting. Moved by Councillor Anderson, second by Deputy Mayor Turton, and the minutes of the Town of Minto, January 5th, 2021 regular council meeting and October 2020 closed session meeting be approved. All in favor? Opposed, if any? None. Okay, I've got everybody up on my screen now. I don't know why I didn't think of that the last meeting. So I think I can see everybody now. So that's approved. And now the next item is additional business. Anybody got any additional items they want to bring up? All right, seeing none at the moment, we'll entertain that later. So the first item of business, well, first of all, moved by Councillor McKenzie, second by Councillor Elliott, that the Town of Minto Council reconvenes in the committee of the whole. All in favor of that? Opposed of any? None. Good, thank you. So we have two public meetings tonight, and so the first one up is a public meeting for ZBA 2020-09 MEX Developments Inc. and Land Boss Properties Limited, part of lots 84 and 85, concession C, Town of Hairston. I'll act as the chair of the public meeting, and I'll call the meeting to order, and Clerk McRobb to ensure that all members of the public present is recorded on the attendance record. I guess you do that virtually, Annalee?
Yes, I do, Mayor Bridge. Thank you.
Thank you. And state the following: if a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the Town of Minto before the bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Town of Minto to the local planning appeal tribunal, and the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of the appeal before the tribunal unless, in the opinion of the board, there are reasonable grounds to do so. I'll now ask Clerk McRobb to state the municipal address and legal description of the property and the purpose and effect of the application. The date notices are set.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. The property subject to the proposed amendment is located for property located on part of lot 84 and 85, concession C, Town of Hairston, with frontage on Alora Street North, Highway 9 in the Town of Minto. The purpose and effect of the proposed amendment is to rezone the property lands from single-family residential R1B and R1C, medium-density residential R2, and industrial M1 to medium-density residential R3 to permit an 18-unit residential townhouse development and medium-density residential R2H to permit future residential development. Additional relief may be considered at this meeting. The notices were mailed to the property owners within 400 feet or 120 meters of the subject property, as well as the applicable agencies on December 16, 2020, and posted on the subject property. The following comments were received. Michelle Innocente, Senior Planner for the Ashley Sawyer, the Planning Technician and Admin Assistant for the Town of Minto, Astrid J. Close, Planning Consultant, Dean Campbell sent correspondence, Melissa Hoovis sent correspondence, and Jessica McDonald sent correspondence. Back to you, Mayor Bridge.
Thank you, Annaleen. And so as chair, I will call the applicant or agent to provide comments regarding the proposed amendment, the comprehensive zoning bylaw number 0186. Is Astrid going to do that? Is Astrid? Or who is?
She is coming on now.
Okay, good.
Good evening.
Good evening, Astrid.
My name is Astrid Claus. I'm a planning consultant appearing on behalf of the owner of this property. The owner and the project engineer are also available to respond to any questions that council may have. I have prepared a PowerPoint presentation that was included within the agenda, and I'm wondering whether that could be shared, if that's possible, please.
If you just give us 1 minute, please, and I'll have Matt pull that up.
There it is.
That's great. Thank you very much. If we could go to the next slide, please. So this is the surrounding land uses. The subject property is outlined in red, was previously used as a railway and is now proposed for residential intensification. To the north is a works yard, which is a source of both noise and bright light. A noise wall will be provided to the satisfaction of the town between the work yard and the proposed townhouses through the site plan approval process. This noise wall and the townhouse units themselves will act as a buffer between the work yard and the homes located to the south of the subject property to reduce both the existing noise and light from the work yard. To the south of the subject property is mostly single detached homes mixed with townhouses on King Street North and semis on Queen Street North. The existing road stubs of Queen and King end at the subject property. The George Street North road stub is proposed to be extended as part of the 161 unit Chicotant subdivision, which will include a mix of semis, singles, and townhouses. Next slide, please. So the County of Wellington official plan permits townhouses within the existing residential land use designation. Again, you'll see the property outlined in red, and it's within the yellow or the residential land use designation. The proposal at 23.1 units per hectare is well below the maximum density permitted of 35 units per hectare. The townhouse proposal is located within the built boundary, also known as the delineated built-up area, identified by the province and included in the county official plan as an area where appropriate intensification is encouraged. The proposed townhouses will be single-story bungalow units, which are appropriate intensification within this neighborhood. These bungalow units are designed to be suitable for retirees and seniors. Next slide, please. So this is showing the existing zoning. The townhouse proposal property, again outlined in red, you can see the M1 industrial zoning to the north where the work yard is located, along with the R1C and R2 zoning for the Chicotant subdivision to the north. And there are existing R2 zones on Queen and King Street where the existing semi-detached and townhouses are located. Next slide, please. So this is the proposed zoning. The townhouse proposal meets every zoning regulation required by the R3 zone, including the provision of a buffer between the proposed townhouses and the homes located to the south. This buffer is required to be used for the placement of trees, shrubs, similar vegetation, fencing, and landscaping features. A buffer will be provided to the satisfaction of the town through the site plan approval process. With respect to parking, 1 parking space per dwelling has been provided in each garage for a total of 18 parking spaces. The proposal also provides 18 driveway parking spaces, or 1 driveway space per unit. In addition, there are 10 visitor parking spaces being provided. So for 18 townhouse units, a total of 46 parking spaces are being provided, and that's just slightly over 2.5 parking spaces per unit. Next slide, please. So this is the proposed concept plan, and it might be a little fuzzy, but the minimum zoning setback required from the back of the townhouses to the abutting homes lot line is 7.6 meters. Instead of this, a greater setback of 8.5 meters is being provided. In addition to this, you can hopefully see on the plan that there are some red labels just to the south. So there are some existing encroachments by the neighbors onto the subject property. And rather than ask the neighbors to move their deck or their walkway off of his property, the owner is instead proposing to give part of his property to these neighbors to add to their lots. And you can see the area outlined in red, so that those areas are actually part of this owner's property, but he's willing to give those to the neighbors so that they can expand the size of their lots, and then they won't have to move some of those encroachments. The connection of the road stubs at King and Queen through the development will allow safer and more efficient servicing, snow plowing, and garbage collection, since trucks will not need to back up to provide these services to the area. I would also note that the owner has reviewed the draft bylaw and has no objection to that bylaw being approved. So in conclusion, the owner has ensured that this site has been carefully designed to be very sensitive to the neighbors by including a noise wall, which will help mitigate noise and light from the work yard to the neighbors to the south, providing a buffer consisting of trees, shrubs, and a fence to the satisfaction of the town between the proposed townhouses and the neighbors to the south, meeting or surpassing the zoning setback and parking requirements, limiting the height of the townhouses to one-story bungalows designed for seniors and retirees, and proposing to give land to the neighbors so that they do not have to move items that they have built on his property. We would be pleased to answer any questions that council may have. Thank you.
Thanks, Astra. Does council have any questions at this moment, or do you want to wait and do your questions at the end? Councilor McKenzie.
Just quickly, what's that common amenity area? What is that used for? Or is it just
Yeah, so again, that is a zoning requirement, and it is double the size of what the bylaw would require, but I'm not answering your question. So right now, the programming of it would be done during the site plan process. So if there's landscaping or benches or some other kind of features, that would be determined through the site plan process, and there'd be a landscape plan, et cetera, approved through that process. So,
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, Councilor McKenzie. Councilor Anderson.
So this is railway land, correct?
It was previously railway land, that's correct.
So has it been reconditioned or tested or whatever it is that needs to be done for railway land to make it suitable to build on? I'm assuming that process has been done, but.
Yeah, Kim is on the call, and I'm wondering whether Kim is able to answer that question. She's the project engineer.
To council. So there was, sorry, I'm just looking that up. There was work done on this in 2011 by Chung and Vanderdolen. And it stated that a record of site condition was not required at that time, so none was filed. But they did do work on this section, as well as the spur on the other side of Alora Street. So that memorandum can be provided along with our submission, but it was reviewed by the town and county when we did our pre-development consult for this site.
So
Jean?
sorry, not to belabor a point, but like I've known several people who've owned land that got caught with this sort of stuff. If it was if an approval wasn't required before, was that because they didn't know that it was going to be developed for property use, like for buildings to be built on for people to live in?
Sorry, I just have the memorandum in front of me. There was a full report done, and this was done by the former owners. So that's why it's my knowledge of it. I will review that and provide further information to the town. But some remediation was completed at that time.
Okay. All right. Yeah, follow-up would be great on that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Councilor Anderson. Deputy Mayor Turton.
Thanks, Mayor Bridge. Astrid, it's a beautiful looking development. I've got 2 or 3 questions in reference to water and sewers. Coming in Queen Street and both Queen and King?
Sorry, Deputy Mayor. So the current proposal for servicing is that sanitary would drain to King Street. It would not be connected to Queen Street. There is an existing water main that loops between King and Queen. It's currently undersized at 50 millimeter. Our proposal is to abandon that existing water main and loop a 150 main through our development over an easement to improve flows from King to Queen. There's some discussion that possibly further connection would be required at Laura Street. So we'll be looking into that yet in conjunction with the town and through Triton Engineering. Storm will drain into Elora Street as well as King Street.
Elevation, is the plan to bring that all up to grade, similar to the lots south of
That would be
development?
correct. Yep. Yeah, the plan is from King Street, we will have to grade up to get to that existing. And then the site will be relatively flat, obviously not totally flat, but from our neighbors to the south to our neighbors to the north.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Councillor Elliott.
Just quickly, there's no basements in these at all, you know, or is there going to be basements?
The current proposal is slab on grade.
Flat long grade. Well, that should make a difference in environmental issues anyway. If you don't build basements, quite often you're allowed to build a residential property on that, I would think.
That can be looked into anyways. I'm not too concerned that that's part of the site plan, whatever. Anybody else? Okay, good. We'll keep moving on this then. And next up is our county planner. And Michelle, you're here, I believe. I saw you. There you are. And you want to just take it over now? Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor Bridge. So with respect to our review, I think we've touched on the details of the application, and generally speaking, my report looked at the residential designation. The county official plan designates the land as residential. And we found that the application is in accordance with the residential policies. There's a detailed review of the medium density residential policies. As Astrid mentioned, the density actually comes in at 23.1 units per hectare, where the county official plan allows up to 35 units for a medium density development. We find the proposal is consistent with provincial policy and meets the criteria of the official plan. With respect to the report itself, a draft amending bylaw was included with my report. And it's there for your consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions, although I think that was quite a detailed presentation, which was excellent. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. Any questions from Michelle? Councillor Dirksen.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. I'm not sure who this question is for exactly, but I'm just wondering about flooding issues, because this is a corner of Harriston that is known for flooding. So I'm just wondering if that is being looked after in the best way we can, at least.
Who wants to handle that?
I can
Ashley?
speak on that a little, yeah. So Maitland Valley Conservation Authority has been in contact with both the applicant and the town, and they believe that the development can take place on the property without affecting flood controls. And as a result, they have no objection to the application.
Yeah, I did read that. I guess I guess it's just experience knowing that corner of Harriston, right?
Well, all of Harrison's in a floodplain, basically, but
Sure.
yeah, but it's gone through the proper procedures there.
Yep.
Anybody else? And then we'll turn it over to Ashley. Ashley, did you want to comment on anything or on your report or?
So yeah, the town staff have reviewed the application and we do not have concerns. We will ensure that at the site plan stage, the parcels are merged into one, because right now they're three separate. Maitland Valley is in favor, the county's in favor. And our recommendation is that council receives this report and considers passing a bylaw in open session.
Okay, thank you, Ashley.
Thanks.
Any questions for Ashley? If not, we're going to now, oh, sorry, Judy, go ahead.
So they're going to be merged into one property, and then would they be separated out again into 18 separate properties, or are they?
So speaking with the applicant, their intention sounds like it is to rent. That being said, it could down the road be split and sold off, but right now that's not the intent.
Okay, but it'd still be possible to separate them if it went that way.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good. All right, next step is we're going to ask for, and I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to ask for anybody in favor of the proposal or anybody in opposition of the proposal. I believe we have some people, Annalene, that are waiting somewhere, or
Yes, through you, Mayor Bridge, I'm going to ask Matt to have Dean McEwen come on first and allow him to speak. And then after that, it will be Dean Campbell. They have both requested to speak at this meeting.
okay. All right, thank you. I knew we had a couple of people, and you had some correspondence. Everybody's had a chance to read that. So is Dean coming on first? Which Dean? Dean McEwen? We'll get you on here, Dean. Just hang on. I don't see you there yet. Oh, there he is. Okay, Dean, I think I see you now. Okay, you're unmuted. And I just want to let you know that you have 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, so Annalene's got the clock. She's going to let me know, and she can actually. It's kind of weird in this situation. She could actually cut you off, I guess, but we'll be as
She's got the control. Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead and give us your concern.
Well, I own the property at 107 King Street North, which abuts that particular property. So I do have some concerns about how that is going to affect my property values. What kind of they're saying that there is a bit of a conveyance between that's going to be ceded to us, but I'm not sure how big. Like, I would like to know how big that would be. Like, what am I looking at in terms of how much, where the fence line would be, for instance. There are, and how high the fence might be. Like, I'm suddenly going from looking at trees to 4 backyards, which is quite a large change for us. But again, I'm just concerned about like what that might look like going into the future.
Okay. Astrid, can you mention later on? We'll maybe finish up, Dean, and then we'll try to get your questions answered as we go after the end of this. Okay.
Okay. I'm also wondering about the timeline for construction. Like, when is this going to start? Like, they've cut the trees down beside us, and they've moved the dirt around a bit, so now it's just a mess beside our house. But I'm just wondering what timeline might be.
Okay. And is that all your questions at right now?
Yeah, most of my other questions were answered. It seems like seniors, rental properties.
Yeah.
So that's
okay. So if Astrid, did you want to speak to that now, or did you want to wait till all the questions are in, or somebody from or Jerry, or?
Go ahead, Kim.
Oh, I was going to say, go ahead, Astrid, but I have my CAD drawing open in front of me, Dean.
Oh, great. Okay.
So currently, and this is, rough right now, but your property line is currently about a meter away from the side of your home.
Yes.
That's where the property line is. Where we are proposing to put the property line, or where the fence could be placed, would be about 2 to 2.5 meters away from the side of your home. So it's about a 1.5 meter wide strip through there. And it varies, like that property line, just things aren't exactly square over there. That's why I'm saying approximately. So that was your first question. The other question was timeline. That's difficult to us exactly to commit to, partly because it depends on approvals. When, for example, we'll get zoning approval and then we need site plan approval. There's also the work on King that needs to occur, is subject to ministry approvals as well. So that's one factor. The other factor is obviously construction season, how things are going to go throughout this pandemic. We can't obviously anticipate what things are going to look like this summer, but if approvals are in place, this is something that could happen this summer. It could also be pushed off depending on how things go, but our intent is to do this sooner rather than later, but we can't predict exactly when it'll happen.
I see.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, good, Dean, then, for now.
I think good for now. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for being here. Next up is Dean.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. Dean Campbell will be up
Oh,
next.
okay, Dean
Yep,
Campbell.
and it goes another Dean. And if we just wait a moment, he will be promoted. And we'll wait for him to put on his video and his microphone, and then he can speak.
There he is. Hi, Dean.
Yes,
I just thought I'd let you
video,
know
so
it's, yeah, you're there. You have to do your mute though. You're muted. There you go.
How's that?
Yeah.
That's good. And
All right.
just to let you know, you have 5 minutes approximately, and Annalene's got the clock. So, but
first
go ahead.
question.
Go ahead.
I submitted a letter because I wasn't sure if I'd be able to make it because of work. So I don't know,
Yep.
has that always been reviewed by everybody, or how's that work?
Yes, it has. Yes, it has, Dean.
Yeah, so one of my bigger concerns was, I guess one of my biggest concerns is that this development does not suit the area. It doesn't fall in with the neighborhood, right? So one of the biggest influences of the home responsibility, how the area looks, it just changes the whole area. It's not really suited for this area. It's not cohesive, it doesn't blend in. That's one of my biggest issues with it. I mean, I think I've talked to other people in the area, and one of the biggest things, I mean, if the street was extended and the houses all look the same, I think that's like a better solution. It just fits in better. The other thing was, I don't understand how the privacy of adding 4 and 5 units on the back of everybody's property and have people look in, fence and no fence. There's going to be a lot of extra noise for everybody else in the neighborhood. Yeah, that's some of my other questions I have. I think have all been answered by some of the other ones. But for me, it's just the general overall design. I mean, I know Minto's growing real quickly, and there's a lot of these subdivisions starting to pop up. But I feel that Minto should take the council take a better grasp at making to control how the subdivisions go in, where they go in, do they fit in with the rest of the community, do they fit in with the neighborhoods? I think that's a big thing about growing as a community too. Make sure things aren't, being put in and not look out of place.
Okay, thanks, Dean, and for your input. And did you have any questions for the developer or he did his presentation? You're good?
I understand a lot of it because I come from architectural background, so I do a lot of work in design, a lot of other stuff like that. So I have a good handle and I understand what they're saying, but like I said, I just don't think it's a good spot for it.
Yeah, and you spelled out most of your concerns in that letter, and I appreciate that. So thank you, and we'll use your input. As again, this is just for the bylaw tonight, and get into site approvals later and stuff like that. So it'll be another opportunity for people to look at the overall site plan as well.
One last question, maybe for the other people.
Yes, go ahead.
What happens when if this is going to be kind of geared towards a senior type development, we have no sidewalks and stuff like that either, right? The number one. Two, the other thing, I guess, is a lot of traffic is going to be generated. I mean, if we're still developing the old Metzger property and then they bought the property at the end of, is it George Street? I mean, that was supposed to be, we put the crosswalk up here at William Street for kids to walk down this street. Now you're increasing traffic by, another 50, 60, 70 cars potentially off and on through the day. I just find that to be this infill development that we're doing in this area is creating a lot of traffic, especially if that was kind of one of our main veins for kids and stuff to go to school. So,
okay.
Just to add that.
I think that was in your letter. That's good, Dean. Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Thank you. Okay. Anybody who wants to speak in favor of the proposition other than the developers already give a fairly good there? Don't see anybody. Okay. Any more questions from the council? I just want to, go ahead, Jean, Judy, do you have a question?
Well, I believe both deans made comments about the trees that are beside their property, between their property and this new development. I had understood earlier from somebody had said that those trees were going to stay, or that there was going to be a barrier or something, or am I mixing up the sides of the property?
I don't, Kim, did you want to speak to that, or?
So we've taken down trees that were on our property, not on
Right.
anyone else's.
No.
Astrid previously spoke to the fact that there is a buffer required as part of zoning, and that buffer could include things such as trees, fences, other vegetation. So at this point, we don't have an overall plan for that, but that is part of the site plan application and is a requirement as we go through those steps as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I just want to make a comment, and that Jerry's on the call as well, and this is a development that's certainly needed. I mean, I don't, most of the councillors here have had lots of questions about rental accommodation and for seniors and other things, and we have people having to move out of town because they sell their house and they can't have a spot to be. So I think it's a great development, and I think they've done a really good job of trying to work with the neighbors. And I know there's still some concerns, but we still have site agreements to work on and a few other things. So I'm really happy with how this development has come forward, and I think it'll be a big boon to Harrison, especially for allowing seniors to stay and not have to move out of town, that they've been here all their lives. So this is something we've been looking for, and I think it's a great development that way. Thank you very much for putting it forward to us. So anybody else have anything to say or whatever, and then I'll be wrapping there. Deputy Mayor Turton.
Yeah, and proof to that, Bear Bridge is the development over on the old school property. 22 or 23 units there are full.
Yes.
And I mean, it didn't take long to get them up and well, they're half up, but they're sold. So I mean, it's to the fact that we need more senior housing.
Yeah. Jerry, did you want to say something? Go ahead. Oh, now you have to unmute there. There you go.
Yeah, no, yeah, we've given this property a lot of thought, and we're pretty proud of what we came up with. It offers, you know, once the site is established, some privacy to the residents who live there. I think we're going to establish a bit of a community for the people who live in that area. You know, we've taken access to Allure Street away, so it's not going to be a thoroughfare where people can use this development as a shortcut to maybe get to the subdivision. And we've built and situated the homes in such a way that the residents can enjoy them, you know, as quiet as possible. We're going to use ICF construction, which will really eliminate the sounds. We've minimized the amount of living area at the front of the structures that face the yard. So yeah, we think we've got a pretty good plan here for this site, and you know, overall we're excited to get going at it.
Yep. Thanks, Jerry. And as I say, I really appreciate the investment in the community that way. Excellent. And it's nice when you have somebody that's local that wants to develop our area as well. So thank you for that. Okay. I will state, if you wish to be notified of the decision of the Council of the Town of Minto in respect to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment application, you must make a written request to the clerk of the Town of Minto at 5941 Highway 89, Harrison, NOG 1ZO, or email at annaleen@town.minto.on.ca. If there's no further comments, I'll adjourn the public meeting. That was my gavel. You can't hear it, but there it is. Okay, thank you. Okay, Eileen, we have another one, so we'll just move right into that. This one is ZB 2020-10, Albert and Darlene Now I have to get the name right here. Eschenblock, did I say it right?
Eshelbeck.
Esselbeck, okay. 9820 Ski Road. I'll act as chair of the public meeting and call the meeting to order, and Clerk McRobb to ensure that any member of the public present is recorded on the attendance record, and I will state the following. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the town of Minto before the bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the town of Minto to the local planning appeal tribunal, and the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of the appeal before the tribunal unless, in the opinion of the board, there is reasonable grounds to do so. I'll ask Clerk McRobb to state the municipal address and legal description of the property and purpose and effect of the application and date notice are sent.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. The property subject to the proposed amendment is located for property located on Concession 17, Part Lot 21, Registered Plan 60R2681, Part 1, with a municipal address of 9820 Ski Road in the town of Minto. The purpose and the effect of the proposed amendment is to rezone the subject property from an agricultural site-specific A49 zone to an agriculture A zone. This rezoning is a condition of severance application B51-20, which was granted provisional consent by the Wellington County Land Division Committee. The consent will sever a 2.47 acre vacant parcel from the retained 19.3 hectare or 47.7 acre rural residential parcel, which contains an existing single detached dwelling, greenhouse, and various structures. Additional relief may be considered at this meeting. The notices were mailed to the property owners within 400 feet or 120 meters of the subject property, as well as the applicable agencies on December 18th, 2020, and posted on the subject property. The following comments were received. Matt Doust, planner for the County of Wellington. Ashley Sawyer, planning technician, admin assistant for the town of Minto. And that is all. Back to you, Mayor Bridge.
Thank you, Annalene. And I'll ask if the applicant or agent provide comments regarding the proposed amendment and zoning bylaw number 0186. Is the applicant here? I don't see them, I don't think.
Through you, Mayor Bridge.
Yeah.
No one did register to attend the meeting in person.
Thank
on
you.
Zoom.
Okay, so then I'll turn it over next up to the county planner. And Michelle, are you doing this one?
I am. Thank you, Mayor Bridge.
Thank you.
As noted earlier. And it's actually a little different than we often see as a rezoning for a consent. It has to do with the fact that the property has a site-specific zone on it that allows for some maybe not so typical uses in the agricultural area. So the condition will actually remove the site-specific requirements for the overnight children's camp, farm vacation, kennel, and the keeping of exotic animals. So the application will actually remove the site-specific zone and just put it back to a straight agricultural zone. So your typical permissions, and then the reduced agricultural lot provisions would apply for this property. And that's really the extent of the application. It was a condition of consent. And if you happen to have any questions, happy to answer them.
Thank you, Michelle. Any questions for Michelle? Seeing none, sorry, Councilor Anderson. You have to, are you getting that mute off there? Oh, yeah. There you go.
Sorry. It was unclear to me in the application what exactly they're intending to do with this property. I wasn't clear exactly what the purpose of this was.
Oh, through you, Mayor Bridge, this application is before council as a result of a land severance application. So the property was designated or is designated secondary agricultural, and the applicant made application under the county official plan policies to have a rural residential lot. So that's the subject property on the report that's outlined in the red. It's somewhat irregular shaped, sort of like an L. And so it's the creation of that lot that's triggering this application because the county planner actually had requested that the zone be converted back to a straight agricultural zone. So it's simply to create a rural residential property. This is fulfilling a condition of that consent.
Yeah. So they're planning on building on this?
It's my understanding that it is a rural residential lot that was created, and the shape of the lot, it's a little bigger than what we would typically see in the secondary agricultural area. And my understanding is that there's some limitations on the property in terms of elevations, and that is their intent. So they would need to obviously go through the regular process of applying for a building permit application once the consent in the lot is created.
Okay.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Turton.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. So Michelle, a little hesitation in your voice there. I think A49, say we were going the other way from A to A49, it would be a little bit different.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's for sure. So it's not a typical zone that we see. So the idea was that it's a use and the
Sorry, it froze on us there,
currently
Michelle.
exists in that larger area. But when we convert it down to a residential lot and make it that smaller, we wouldn't want to see the keeping of exotic animals on a lot of that size, or running an overnight camp, that type of thing. So there are a few properties in the town of Minto that have some maybe less than traditional agricultural zones. So when we're applying the lot creation policies, the intent was never to create a second opportunity for an overnight camp. So because the official plan policies were for the creation of a rural residential lot, that's why we wanted to convert the zone back to that agricultural zone, which then we have those specific reduced ag or the residential requirements within the zone.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else got a question? All right, I'll maybe ask Ashley if she wants to do the town report. If there's any more you want to add, Ashley?
So town staff are in support of the application. You're right, Deputy Mayor Turton, it would be absolutely different if it were going the other way. The county's in support as well, and Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority made comments to us stating that their zoning is acceptable. We did not receive any comments from surrounding property owners, and the recommendation is that council receives this report and considers passing a bylaw in open session.
Thanks, Ashley.
Thanks.
Any comments to Ashley or any questions for Ashley? No. Okay. I will then call anyone wishing to comment in favor. Nobody's here, so I guess there's that. And anybody in opposition? There's anybody in opposition, Annaleen, waiting to get on here? Or? No. Okay.
Again, sorry, through you, Mayor Bridge. No one registered to speak to this.
Okay.
They had to register by 1 o'clock yesterday. So.
Fine. Thank you. I wasn't sure. Okay. Then I will, is there any more questions for the council? I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Okay. And then I will state that if you wish to be notified of the decision of council of the town of Minto in respect to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment application, you must make a written request to the clerk of the town of Minto at 5941 Highway 89, Harrison, NOG 1ZO, or email at annaleen@town.minto.on.ca. There's no further comments. I will adjourn the public meeting. Public meeting adjourned. Thank you. Okay. We have no delegations tonight. Correspondence received for information. Moved by Councillor Gunson, second by Councillor Dirksen. The Council of Town of Minto receives the correspondence for information. Anybody want to pull any of the correspondence? All approve of accepting correspondence. Okay, passed. Going forward.
Sorry.
Report. Sorry.
Mayor Bridge, sorry, through you. I didn't hear, was there a motion made by Councillor Gunson and seconded by Councillor Dirksen?
Yes, I did say that.
Sorry, I missed that, sorry.
Yep. You got it written down here for me. So I was hoping I was reading it right.
Thank you, sorry.
That's all right. This is tough when you're in this virtual world we live in. So reports for committees and town matters, tabled motions which are written, notice given, committee minutes for approval, and I have a move by Deputy Mayor Turton, second by Councillor Anderson. The Council of Town of Minto receives the Cultural Roundtable Committee minutes of January 6, 2020 and approves the recommendations contained within. And maybe get Belinda to do those for us.
Sure, I'll be very brief. I know it's a big agenda tonight. So essentially our Cultural Roundtable meeting committee has been working through the surveys that we received prior to Christmas. And as you can see from the, oh, maybe I didn't attach the schedule because it's not quite completed. We have identified some actions, and at our January meeting, we will be putting timelines and budget towards it. So that is essentially the cultural roundtable minutes. So it's around that piece. And then also the cultural plan, we had talked about updating that this year, but in the end, we're going to focus on the COVID-19 support for our groups this year, and push the cultural plan off till next year when we can do more engagement, hopefully in person. And we are working with Marva Wisdom and as suggested, Colleen from the county on our probably going to be called like an inclusivity committee. So we're working through that in the background as well. So that's all for that.
Thank you.
If there's any questions.
Any questions? Just a comment from me, Belinda, and I think the committee's done a great job, and it's tough because the Cultural Roundtable Committee is totally about events and running events and getting people, helping people do things. And of course, a lot of the people that are on the Cultural Roundtable are in certain things that have events. And it's been very depressing, I would have to say, for us to with the not able to do much of the things we like to do. But they've taken the bull by the horns, and they've actually decided that went out there and did the survey and make sure that our cultural groups are still going to survive this COVID thing that we're going through. So I think the study was really good. The survey was really good, and I'm sure we're going to get some great action plans out of it. There was really good discussion over it. So I give the committee a lot of credit for not just saying the heck with it, we can't do anything, let's sit back. So great job. And we're looking forward to what the next group is, what they're going to do in January as far as the follow-up. So all in favor? Thank you. Passed. And economic development. You want to do that one then, Belinda?
Sure. Yep. And again, I'll be brief here. We reviewed our BRNE survey results again. Essentially, the county is reviewing it as well. We've met at the county level to come up with some preliminary actions. The Chamber of Commerce has some actions underway already. And now we are working on our side of things. So lots of plans in the works, lots of great feedback. And the funny thing, or not so funny thing, I guess, is to note that coming out of the survey, we still have strong need to address our workforce issues, our housing, and our transportation. So what Jerry is proposing, I don't see him on here anymore, but that we need housing for sure, and rental housing, housing for seniors, attainable housing. We need housing, we need workers. And Ridewell has helped a bit with transit. So a lot of our issues haven't changed, and even more enhanced effort on shop local as well. So those are kind of the big things that were coming out of the Economic Development Committee.
Thanks. Any questions? Okay, moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor McKenzie. The Council of the Town of Minto receives Economic Development Planning Committee meetings for January 14th, 2021, and approves any recommendations carried within. All in favor? Opposed of any? None. Okay, passed. Staff reports. And Michelle's still here. Its first report is yours, Michelle, I believe.
It is, Mayor Bridge, thank you. So this report is a fairly straightforward report. It's simply looking for an endorsement from council with respect to the MEX subdivision development on the Harriston lands. And that had a proposed official plan amendment, as well as a draft plan of subdivision, as well as a rezoning amendment. And this evening is actually looking for local endorsement for the proposed official plan amendment. So the official plan amendment requests the lands some lands on the property be redesignated from future development to residential and from core green lands to residential. And I've just quickly summarized sort of the process that we've looked at and what we've been evaluating. So with respect to the future development to residential lands, the County of Wellington official plan has criteria established to make those changes. And that we have reviewed that and feel that this application meets those criteria. And then the second change is the core greenlands to residential. And this work has been going on for a number of years, as this council I'm sure knows quite well. And so the redesignation of these lands actually coincides with the revised floodplain that's taken place within Harriston. And so that's been done in consultation with the Conservation Authority. So through this process, we have had consultation with the Conservation Authority, and they're in support of this change. So this is the official plan amendment change. And this request with some recommendations the county, that is the case, and then we can proceed to the next step with in terms of the official plan amendment and move that forward to planning committee.
Thank you, Michelle. And you froze up there a bit, but I think we got the gist of it. So does anybody have any questions for Michelle on this? Seeing none, moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Councillor Gudson, that the Council of the Town of Minto supports the draft official plan amendment file OP 2022 to redesignate lands for future development and core green lands to residential within the proposed development, that the Town of Minto staff advise the County of Wellington of the Council's decision. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Don't see any opposed. Good. That's it. Thanks, Michelle. And normally I'd say have a safe drive home, but hopefully you're at home already. All right. Take care. Business economic development. And this is an exciting report. I know everybody's had a chance to look at this, and I've seen it once before. So it's a great report. And I see Summers here as well to help you, Belinda. So I'll turn that over to the two of you to give us the report on economic development year in review.
Sure. Thanks, Mayor Bridge. And we'll just wait for Matt to pull up our presentation. Thank you, Matt, on the back end. So yeah, Summer and I are just going to run through this. It's a team effort in our department, and we have to acknowledge our other teammate missing in action now is Taylor, who would normally be helping us, but has started her mat leave. Still no baby yet, though. So we'll get started with our year in review. It was not like any other we've experienced, but nonetheless, it was still, I think, an overall good year. So we'll get started. You can go to the next slide, Matt.
Great. So I will take this slide here. As you can see, we still publish the community guide where there were 6,500 copies printed and distributed across Minto, as well as 7,500 Minto holiday shopping guides. These included all of the holiday promotions and passport programs. The committees all still met and were quite active. They just met virtually. So a little change and a little adaptation at the start, but I think everyone has caught on to the Zoom thing.
You can go to the next slide, Matt. Thanks. So as Mayor Bridge mentioned earlier, a lot of our work is around events and event planning and assistance and execution. I believe last year, 2019, we did around 35 events, or we're involved in 35 events. This year looked a little different with 15 events that we helped with. We're not going to run through all of them. You can read, and you've probably read hopefully already. But we did also incorporate a lot of virtual events into our year as well. So hoping the end of this year, maybe we'll get back to some event stuff again, but we were able to do some things and do some things virtually. You can go to the next slide, Matt, sorry. Yeah, so in terms of where your business belongs items, we did run our Pitch It competition again, and we had some great entries. Clifford Takeout was the winner, as you know. Unique Fashions and Jigger's Barbecue Sauce were the other two finalists. We had a busy year in terms of industrial land sales with 2 sales and 2 pending. So we're still working on 2 agreements based out of last year. And even though it was COVID, we did have a good uptake on our CIP program again. So you can see the figures there. We were also successful in getting some funds for our businesses from the county, and some pretty significant ones too. So some really good improvements in the downtown this year. And also industrial and commercial permits look pretty good this year as well. Next slide, please.
Okay, so in response to the first COVID lockdown, we came up with a Shop Local campaign called Locally Loyal Minto. This was a partnership, of course, as always, between the town and the chamber. And actually, we had a lot of fun with this. In the summer months, it was so great to actually be able to get out in and about and show appreciation to people shopping local, wearing their masks, and most importantly, being kind. So we gave out $2,000 in $10 increments to people shopping local, and just randomly kind of did a quick little dash in the downtowns. We also handed them locally loyal masks, which were also for sale along with t-shirts to be purchased. Big thanks to the Clifford Rotary, the Hairston Kinsmen, and the Palmerston Lions for helping us fund this project. And we'll probably be seeing a lot more of the locally loyal campaign in the coming months and years. Next slide. Okay. So also, I think most of you are familiar with our Think Minto First, which is generally a fundraiser for not-for-profit organizations. Because our businesses were requiring some assistance and a little bit of help, we rolled this out with the help of Awesome Interactive. We rolled out an online version of this where people could purchase gift cards online to our local stores. So I believe we have approximately 50 businesses on there now, and we have generated $11,000 in sales since the start of this. So I believe it launched in May. So we're really proud of that, to be able to put that money directly into the hands of businesses. And some businesses, especially now after the Christmas months, with getting some pretty big payouts, they've replied back just saying, no, thank you so much. We really needed this injection of cash into our business. Belinda and I also took it upon ourselves to do rolling rounds of calls, phone calls to businesses all throughout COVID. I believe we've done about 3 rounds plus the BRNE survey in total, probably well over 400 calls to businesses that we have made, just checking on them, making sure they're okay, making sure they're aware of resources, just listening to them as well too. And we've always prided ourselves on our relationships with our businesses and our connections with them. And this just elevated that a little bit further. Great.
Next slide, Matt. Perfect. So a big part of this year was obviously the great work of our downtown revite committees. And so Hairston Rising, Clifford Connects, and All Aboard Palmerston. So again, I'm not going to read through the full list of what we accomplished here, but you can see the pictures tell 1,000 words, and definitely improvements in the downtown in terms of visual stuff. Obviously, the murals were a big thing. Improvements in Tannery Park with the fun lights and the furniture, and just so many great things that happened this year to really brighten up downtown Hairston. So you can go to the next slide. Yep. And then same thing in Palmerston. Our committees did some great work here as well with the new Norgan mural. Quite a few business openings in each of the downtowns, the street furniture, the beautification elements. So in Hairston, it's Tannery Park is their focus for photo op places. And in Palmerston, obviously, it's the front of the Lions Heritage Park, a real noteworthy spot. You can go to the next slide, Matt. Perfect. Clifford, the phone booth project. These booths were made for talking. Definitely a highlight in Clifford this year. It was our public art project. Really awesome, unique. And the one there pictured is the yellow one, and that was Julia Grice that won the People's Choice. Also, a big part of Clifford's downtown efforts this year was a partnership with the Clifford Rotary to the parkette on the corner is now going to be coined the Clifford Rotary Celebration Square. And last year, the Rotary Club funded that beautiful gazebo, which the beautification committee worked this winter and made it into a Santa's workshop type feel. And it really made a big impact in downtown Clifford. So those are some of the highlights there. Next slide. And yeah, this was an ad we ran in the Wellington Advertiser, just thanking our service clubs, our groups. These projects in the downtown, as you know, would not be possible without funding from the RED program, the Rural Economic Development Program, and all the groups pitching in money really helped us leverage, and not just money, but many groups are helping us on the ground with volunteering, and it's just so great to see the stuff. So as you can see there, we got murals done, we got banners done, we got light balls done, we got sound systems done. So many projects were completed this year thanks to this funding and the groups, and we're looking forward to this year finishing up the project. Next slide, please. Yeah, so again, just highlighting the red projects that we were able to complete this year. So you can go to the next slide, Matt. Okay, so then over to the museum and the farmers market, which really did look a lot different this year. We had two amazing students, Haley and Sarah. Definitely numbers were down significantly. The prior year, we had over 1,100 people through the museum. This year, we were able to open. We had all the precautions in place, but visitation was down. So we only had just over 300 people through. However, it was a blessing because the girls were able to do a ton of cataloging. So this is probably our third or fourth year working through cataloging all the stuff at the museum. So it was an excellent opportunity for that. And also wanted to thank Sarah, who worked with Gord to get $5,000 through an emergency support fund for the museum, which was great. She kind of took it upon herself to find that and apply, and thanks to Gord for supporting her with that. And also the Lions and their support in improving the brick around the museum. It's going to be great. They'll be finished up next year. And in terms of the farmers market, you can see in the photo there, Erin Raftis was our summer student and took on the farmers market and then did an excellent job following, making sure all the procedures were in place and followed, and the vendors just top notch. It was an all around great effort over there for sure. Next slide. Okay, so in terms of regional partnerships, we continue to partner with Saugeen Connects. Have been doing a few things and a lot rolling out at the end of last year. We were working on our immigration project where we launched the videos and some ads in specific markets targeting people to move here for employment purposes. Right now, we're doing a whole bunch of workshops around women in business, advancing women, as well as succession matching and succession planning webinars and all kinds of stuff there. And again, this is a really great partnership, pooling our funds and being able to access other funding. Wowza typically has 10 events a year. Unfortunately, this year, really, we had 3 and 1 was virtual. So that was a different year for Wowza. And then a new thing this year that you're all aware of is our Northern Wellington Economic Development Partnership. So we signed the MOU with Mapleton in September, and we've been in the background coaching Ali along, and I think they're doing great work over there. A lot has already happened. And also a new item, I think it was October, we started taking out a full page ad in the Wellington Advertiser, promoting everything that's happening in terms of economic development across Northern Wellington. So that, again, we couldn't do that on our own. It's been a great initiative. And you would have just found out about our Lockdown Love campaign that we've partnered with them on as well. Lastly, under this category, we did assist the county. They've been working on the RideWell employer service. And we were a big part in helping them connect with our largest employers and ensuring that good conversations, communications, and surveys were completed to help build a case for that. So next slide.
Great. So back to me here. We are really excited, again, with this partnership. Launchit has really pushed and expanded its services to Wellington North and Mapleton. We were always accessible to those businesses, but now we have some supports in place and really some great promotions and connections with businesses in those areas. We're still growing a little bit in Mapleton, but there we're seeing some new communication rolling out. Again, events were a little bit tricky. However, I think we really addressed COVID and responded to it quite quickly and efficiently at the start, with so many great virtual events and opportunities for our businesses. So we hosted 20 virtual events and we had 515 people in attendance. So I think that spoke to the need, and we were there when our businesses needed it. We saw attendance starting to decline. I think people were zoomed out, but it really opened the way for us to be a resource and a go-to for these businesses. And we've been connecting with them more on a one-on-one basis, which has been excellent. We still had some awesome tenants in 2020. And when they were able to be there, they certainly were. And we just had a graduation. For those of you who don't know, Kathy Butcher, she has moved to 10 Alora Street South, which is the old McEntee real estate. So we have another graduate and bragging rights to that. So you can go to the next one. Great. And I'm filling in some gaps here a little bit for Taylor. Taylor, her baby was for sure the homepreneurs and the makers. I certainly was helping in the background, but they are just such an engaged group of businesses, and we're really finding quite a nice niche and a nice source to be a resource for these businesses. They make up a huge part of our community, and they generate a ton of revenue. So these home-based businesses, whether they're professionals, whether they're makers or resellers, we are there for them. So we have a network of 83 homepreneurs that are quite engaged. We hosted 3 makers markets in the fall. And we also sold over the Christmas holidays makers boxes. They were $100 each, and we sold 23 of them to local people. Live to Lead looked a little bit different this year. It was virtual, and generally we see 300 people in attendance. We still had 75, but we also it was a great opportunity for larger organizations to host it within their business. So we saw some great uptake and had some great feedback. Ashley Noble continues to be our digital service squad person for the Digital Main Street grant. She is with us until probably the end of March. She's still there to assist businesses with all their needs and help them. She's meeting virtually with them one-on-one. The grant application deadline has closed, and there was 50 grant recipients in total, $2,500 grants in order to get update and adopt new digital practices and technologies. The iHub Food Futures, we continue to meet with them. I continue to meet with them as we are a main door, launch at Minto is, in order for them to create a circular food economy within their business. In Minto, we had 3 businesses that received a $5,000 micro grant to help make their business more circular, which is really exciting. So there's always new updates and whatnot coming with that. And also on here, the Minto Chamber of Commerce. I've touched on some of this stuff, but another thing that we continue to do, even through COVID, I take my phone out or I do this virtually, is the What's Happening Minto show. So Whiteman TV has always been a great supporter of the Minto Chamber and our community in general. And they continue to, and they produce, Adam and I produce a show once a month called What's Happening Minto. It airs on Whiteman TV. It's also played on 88.7 The River. They pull the audio. It's a great opportunity to really promote our businesses locally for free. People love it, and it's a great source of information. We saw 6 grand openings in 2020, which is pretty exceptional considering we're in the middle of a pandemic. So hats off to all those new business owners in Minto. We salute you and have your full support. I think that's probably about it there. Next slide. Yep, great. So this is my new role that I've taken on for 4 months, trying to fill Taylor's very big shoes. Anyway, it is so far going, I think, all right. The social media. So we manage 16 social media accounts, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. But things are going pretty well. We've increasing followers constantly. I'm finding, I had no idea, but there's like 20 new followers on each platform. pretty much every month, which says something for the growth and the excitement that is happening in Minto. Obviously, the content that we're putting out there is engaging for our community, and people want to know what's happening. So it's really quite a fantastic platform for us to be able to showcase what's happening in our community. Hats off to Mayor Bridge and Derek for their community updates. They've had 15 virtual community updates and COVID response, and it has been viewed by almost 13,000 people. So you guys are kind of celebrities. Keep up the good work.
Whoa.
And yeah, great. And I think next one is you, Belinda.
Yep, next slide. Thank you. Perfect. In terms of presentations, we typically get asked quite a bit every year to do presentations in communities. And again, this was down this year, but always proud to present at the University of Waterloo for their master's classes, as well as the professional EDAC courses. And also presented this year to Dufferin County right before COVID hit. On them getting together across their whole county and some work they can do at the local level. Taylor and I were also thrilled to be asked by Doug Griffiths of 13 Ways to be on a podcast about the work we're doing with our downtown revitalization committees. So if you haven't listened to that, you can still check it out. We were also featured in a Risk magazine about the creative work that we're doing in our community and the support we're offering our businesses. And this magazine is produced through Miller Insurance. And then we were able to obtain 3 grants this year. Obviously, you know about the RED grant, just under 42,000. We got just under 7,000 for a Young Canada Works student. So that was our student at the museum. We had Aaron under a summer experience program. And I guess we had 4 grants, and because we also had the Canadian Heritage Emergency Fund. So we were quite successful in obtaining grants this year, which is always nice. Next slide, Matt. Oh, and I guess I was also elected to the EDCO board as well. I forgot to mention that, and excited to be co-chairing the annual conference starting tomorrow. And obviously none of this would be possible without our awesome team, Taylor, Summer, and we've been blessed to have Erin as a summer student, as I mentioned, and she's going to be joining us in May to cover the rest of Taylor's mat leave, and Ashley Noble, who's been doing a bang-up job helping with the Digital Main Street project. So hopefully we didn't take up too much of your time. We tried to be a little quicker than we were with our RecDev committee. So appreciate your time and ready for any questions if you have them.
Great. I'll just wait to, there we are. Yeah, that was like rapid fire there, Belinda, I tell you. I went through it with you once before, and it was a little longer, but just an amazing amount of stuff that you guys have done, and to see it all laid out in your report is amazing. So I'll turn it over to the council for any comments or questions they may have. Councillor Elliott.
Linda, you were talking about Taylor's maternity leave, and Erin, is she coming on? Like, will she be there? When would she be coming in to help you guys?
Yeah, so Summer and I are taking on Taylor's role for 4 months. Right. We might be a little crazy. It's a lot of work, and we're not gonna lie. We don't mind being busy though, right? So you know us. We would rather, Erin's been with us for 2 summers as a summer student. So we felt she's gonna be done school, graduating at the end of April. And we felt the best move for our group would to bring Erin on in May until December, and that Taylor and I would, or Summer and I would step up our game and be busy, really busy for 4 months. And if it wasn't COVID and things weren't, the chamber is a little worried about memberships for 2021. And they can't do a lot of the things that they would normally do. So we're actually stealing some hours. We're not stealing, we're gonna pay for them, but taking some of Summer's hours from the chamber and pulling them over to the town for a little bit. And then when Erin joins us, Summer will be back to the normal stuff.
Yeah, okay, I'm glad to hear that, but I thought Erin would be going back to school in September and then you guys would be back in the same boat again. No. But you'll have her until Taylor returns, sort of thing, we hope.
Yes,
Yeah.
she's signed a contract and she is graduating school in April, so she'll be done school.
If Taylor doesn't come back in December, we can maybe renew things and keep her involved with our program. I think it's just way too much work for two of you.
Oh, yes, no, it's definitely a short-term thing for sure,
sure-
Ron.
Yeah.
It's not
make
sustainable.
Make sure you do fine for the next, 2 or 3 months and make sure we get somebody in there. It's great. And Erin's a good person, so we're lucky to have her.
Yeah, for sure.
Deputy Mayor Turton.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge, Belinda, Summer, Taylor. I mean, this town is so lucky to have employees like you guys. I mean, this is an amazing report, and all the things that you guys go above and beyond to do for our merchants and the people of this town. We're so lucky that the 3 towns and the township, they all look so lovely, and there's so many great comments. And I mean, to put it all together in this report, I mean, it's amazing. It really is amazing. I mean, you wouldn't even know that we had COVID here last year, or not just here, but I mean, congratulations to you guys. And thank you for all your hard work.
Yeah, thanks, Deputy Mayor. And yeah, for sure, we don't do it alone, right?
I
We are
know.
a great community. We have awesome council support. Our businesses are great. Our volunteers are great. And it really is a team effort. We couldn't do it alone. So shout out to everybody.
That's right.
Anybody else? Just to add to that comment that you said, Belinda, and when you're looking at the report and when I had a chance to really look at it in detail, you talk about the downtown groups and you talk about the service groups, and you coordinate a lot. You have an army out there coordination wise, but it takes that coordination, and I think that's what Dave was saying, Deputy Mayor was saying. It takes a good coordinator, good leader, and both you have really demonstrated that. And you bring people onto the table, and they work hard for you on a volunteer basis. And small towns we can't have a major big staff. I always laugh when you have the events, when you do the awards at EDCO, and you get like the cities come up with 18 people up to get their award, and like we're sitting there with 2, and and we're sitting there going, yeah, well, no wonder they could get it. They spent $100,000 and they walked up, and yet we've been there. We've been at that table, and we've stood up there at the platform, and that's a testament to your leadership and the group that you're able to pull together. But again, it's the community. The community is so great here, and with the Chamber of Commerce and what we're doing, so just amazing stuff. And we're going to be just so excited when we can actually get and do all the stuff we want to do, because like we're just geared up. We're ready to go. If we can open up this economy and get COVID out from under us, we've got a great opportunity to really make something happen. So thanks for that. And anybody else? Good. I will just make a comment here that wait, I got the right one here. Moved by Councillor Anderson, second by Deputy Mayor Turton. The Council of the Town of Minto receives the 2020 Economic Development Year in Review for information. All in favor? Carried. Good. So next up, we have another exciting thing that we're doing in the town of Minto, and with the Mapleton's help as well, is I've got Jessica Martin. I can't remember her last name now. Executive Director of Minto Mental Health and Integrated Youth Service Network. And I want you to bring us up to date on that, Jessica. You're on here somewhere? There she is.
I
haven't seen you for so long, right? Like I never see anybody anymore. It's great to see you there. Okay, where you go.
Nice to see you. Thanks, Mayor Bridge. Hi, Council. I'm just gonna give you all a brief update on the donations piece and the financial piece for the capital project, the projects at the hub. So on the report under financial considerations, there would have been a note to look at the PDF file. And on that PDF file, it outlines the donations we had received up till December 23rd. So that kind of outlines the amazing support that we have had from our community. So if you recall, back in June, I came to council and we were looking for the signing of the lease and allowing Mayor Bridge and the clerk to sign that lease for the space beside Norwell. We have now secured that space and are well underway with some renovations. During this time, it has been quite the endeavor. We got a hold of those keys in August, and we were amidst a global pandemic. However, that hasn't stopped the generosity of our community. Cindy Forsyth, Mayor Bridge, and myself have went out when it was safe to do so and met with a variety of local businesses who want to see if they were interested in contributing and donating to this cause. And we have had an astounding response from our wonderful community organizations as well as local businesses. So on that PDF that I have curated, it outlines all of the money that has been. We worked with Gord and Lori quite closely to kind of collect all this, and we recognize that there are some that might be missing, and it's kind of in the midst because some of the donations do go to the Integrated Youth Services Network fund at the Guelph Community Foundation, but then are directed to the Palmerston site directly. And I know there's been some there, and we're connecting with them quite often to ensure that we're capturing everything we need to. So one example of a wonderful donation we have received was from the just for instance, they all have been wonderful, but Harrison Legion, we had not contacted the Harrison Legion. That was from word of mouth that they wanted to contribute to this project. And we were recipients of $10,000 from the Harrison Legion branch, and they have asked to donate for the pool table and the recreational space in that area. So some of these donations have been asked to be specifically towards something. The Harrison Legion is an example of that. So we actually have purchased a pool table, a foosball table, a tabletop tennis to go on top of that pool table, and are excited to have that in there when the site is completed. I do want to touch base on our in-kind services too, because donations look completely different. And that's okay. We appreciate every donation we've received. So we have received awesome in-kind donations, for example, from TrustCore. TrustCore has donated the material. So they've been working closely with our contractor from Heritage Builders to accommodate that and to work at getting that material on our walls. As well as Whiteman Telecom, they have agreed to donate the internet for us and have made sure it's high-speed internet, quick for our youth, because that will be a huge service that is accessed by our youth. So I wanted to keep it brief, and this update was solely for the donations piece and the update on what we've received, and we are continuing to get donations in as we proceed in this wonderful project. It has been an awesome learning curve for me, and it's been a wonderful project to be a part of thus far, and I'm excited to see it come to fruition when we approach that opening, and hope that COVID-19 kind of aligns with that as well. So I will pass it back over to you, Mayor Bridge, and I'm happy to answer any questions if council has any questions.
Thanks, Jess. And yeah, so you have the full report there. As you can see that there's an amazing amount of people have donated, and there's still more out there because we've had some industries that we have talked to that have shown interest, but we haven't just finalized the amounts yet. So I give Jess a lot of credit for doing a lot of the road work on this, and she's done a great job. I'm really disappointed as well as her that we were hoping we'd be ready by the end of January and the kids would be there and we could start the programming and that, but we'll have to wait. I mean, till probably be in February before we can get up and running, probably, because I'm not sure they're going to get back at February 11th. I think we'll still be locked down for a bit longer, but that's just my thought. But anyways, I think a great success story, and we all know that mental health is a big issue, and it's even a bigger issue. I noticed there was an article yesterday in the paper that depression drugs are up 12 or 14% because people that never have taken them before are having to take them, and counseling is the big issue. You can't just take the drugs; you have to have counseling, and unfortunately, that's going to be tough in a pandemic too. So we're hopefully get up and running and make this project really sing. And I believe there's a video as well, Jess, but we're not playing it tonight, I don't think.
Just to be mindful of time, Matt and I have uploaded that to YouTube, and we will share that link with everyone for them to watch. We created that that video to thank our donors in an interesting way, because we can't go out and thank them all in person like we really want to. That there will come that time, but we wanted to know that we are grateful for their donation and their contributions. So you should receive or already have received a link to YouTube to view that as well, and we will be sending that out to all of our donors.
Right, and a couple of stars there that are, have got a lot of star power now that they do the Facebook Live. Derek and myself are on those videos, some of them, and we didn't charge anything for our services. I believe we donated that to you, Jess. So make sure you take that in. Everybody won't bore with you tonight, but thank you. Is there any other questions for Jess? Okay, thanks, Jess.
Good work,
Thank
Jess.
you, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay,
you,
I have
Deputy Mayor Turton.
Yeah, moved by Councillor McKenzie, second by Councillor Elliott. The Council of Town of Minto receives the Executive Director of Minto Mental Health report regarding the Integrated Youth Service Network and Youth Hub in Palmerston as for information. All in favor? Opposed of any? No, good, thank you. And I'll turn it over to Councillor Dirksen.
Thank
to
you, Mayor
take the
Bridge.
chair.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. On the, we have the roads and drainage manager here, I think.
Yep.
There you look like an airplane pilot again. And he's going to talk to us about some proposed road and sidewalk construction projects.
Thank you, Councillor Dirksen, and members of council. So tonight, this report is basically, it is a kind of like a three projects in one report. To start off, I think Matt's going to show some maps here just to kind of follow along with for any clarification as to possible locations of some of these items. So for the sidewalks, to start with that, under the COVID-19 funding application, we were required to submit enough projects that we can basically fulfill the needs there. We wanted to make sure that there was enough projects that we didn't fall short, because we have to use up the entire budget for sidewalk replacements. So in Palmerston, for example, we'd be looking at a couple of blocks of King Street to finish the east side off. We've been working at that for about 3 years now. This would be the third year. And then the idea would be also to install new sidewalks on Raglan Street. Currently, it only goes about a third of that block. And then if funds are available, we would also be looking at doing one block of Dufferin Street just around the corner from the Brunswick Street new structure that's going in place this year. If we move on to the next one, Matt. So in Clifford, we show Allen Street here. There's a sidewalk on both sides of Allen Street East. That will show up a little bit later on with an additional project. And then one other section in Clifford would be a small section of Clark Street, just to make some of that connection there. And then if we move on to the Harrison sidewalks. So in Harrison, we're proposing a small section of sidewalk by the pool on Queen Street. Currently, there is no sidewalks on either side of the street there. And just for safety measures, just to try to get the kids to the pool safely in that area. And then there is a block of King Street that we'd be looking at replacing as well. So with these three maps here, also the blue the blue outlines the overall master sidewalk plan that we that was approved from by council in 2018. So you can kind of see that we're following those guidelines for the most part throughout. And then even with that too, those were guides, and if there's opportunity to increase some of these areas, we were going to do that as well. So like for an example, in Harrison, we show a block of King Street that wasn't on the overall plan, but it actually meshes quite well with some of the existing sidewalks that are on that street currently. So is there any questions regarding the sidewalks a portion of this report? I guess like with the idea with all those areas, we can probably be safe to say that we can do the first 5 out of the 7. And then depending on the prices that we get in with that tender, we may be able to increase those last 2 items there too.
Okay, no questions. So I guess we can move on to the paving then.
But yeah, okay. And then just go back there, Matt, to the next.
Sorry, I see Deputy Mayor's
yeah.
hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Dirksen. Mike, so we haven't tendered any of this yet?
No, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, go ahead, Mike.
Okay, so with the paving, the paving projects, there is 3 options tabled here for councils to decide on. So for the township, one of the projects that we're proposing would be to pave the 3rd line from County Road 5 to Wellington Road 109. That has been an item that's been on the hit list since 2013. It was going to be a capital project, but all over the years, the funds just haven't been able. We haven't been able to complete that as its own capital project. So, and then also in the township for a secondary selection would be Creek Road. There's a small portion of that road that is currently paved, about a little over a kilometer, as well as Highland Pines. It's starting to see quite a bit of wear and tear there. And I believe there's only 1 lot currently left there to be built on. So construction wise, that subdivision's basically done. Okay, so if we move on to the next map there, Matt. So the three maps in the towns are just kind of like options for if we're going to do a combination of some of these things. So for example, in Palmerston, we'd be looking at kind of the area around the Brunswick Street Bridge, like Brunswick Street, couple blocks, Nelson and Dufferin. Another possibility would be Mary Street and then Derby Street as well. The next one. So in Harriston, we show there's a section of Robertson and Raglan there around by the water tower and ambulance bay. It's getting quite rough, as well as a block of John Street and Brock in around the funeral home in Harriston there. So, and then the next slide. And then in Clifford there, we've got a couple of blocks on William Street. The sidewalk on Clifford or William Street North last year was completed for the entire 3 blocks there. So then that just kind of finishes that off. And then we've got some of Getty Street as well as Clark Street there in Clifford. And then as you can see, actually, I'll wait for that. That's the third component. So those are sort of the paving options. So the option 1 was to do the 3rd line. Option 2 would be to do Creek Road and Highland Pines, as well as approximately 7 blocks within the town. And then the 3rd option would then be to do roughly 16 blocks in the 3 communities in total. Okay, so if there's any questions with that portion right now.
Councillor Elliott.
Have you got a recommendation, Mike? What you
Yes.
think?
Yeah, so that will follow. Just if there's any questions just regarding that right now. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So, I guess with that one, the recommendation would be to do the 3rd line. It has been on the hit list there. And then with the other projects that are currently taking place in the 3 communities with the Brunswick Street Bridge, and then the possibility of Arthur Street, east or west in Harriston being repaved this year. And then with the 3rd item of this report, we'd be looking at reconstructing Allen Street East in Clifford. And that was that red on the Clifford Street map, the last slide there. It shows Allen Street East as well as that parking lot to kind of coordinate with what's the word I'm looking for, Mayor Bridge? The Celebration Square.
Yes, the Celebration Square that that Belinda is going to be working on with to finalize that area there that we over the years we took back that mansion in and
yeah,
so that type of thing. So getting that parking lot paved would be really good.
Yeah, so with that project, we'd be proposing, like currently right now, there's only half a block of water main that goes from the well out to William Street. So to increase or to extend that water main to Alora Street to, in case there's a failure in that small section, we'd be taking that well offline just to provide a little bit of redundancy there in the system, and then to provide more formal parking and sidewalks in that area. And the funds associated with that are an option to fund that project is presented within the report. And then obviously if, depending on how these tenders come back, we can look at those options as well as at that time. If there's any questions with any of that along the way.
Mayor Bridge, did you have a question? You're on mute, sir.
Yeah, just Mike, do we know, when do we normally tender this?
We typically would put these out to tender as soon as the budget has been released for the upcoming season. With us doing it a couple months earlier, we're able to get these out sooner. And then typically we do bring a few options, especially for the paving projects every year, just for council to think about for sure.
So then that's when we'll know about the pricing, because a lot of our, some years we get lucky and we get a good price, and other years it's a little tougher. But getting the tenders out really quickly makes a difference, because we've always had to wait for the budget. So now the budget is done.
Yeah.
So I through you, Chair Dirksen, then I'm hoping that we can get this tendering out there. We find out what's happening. But a great report, lots of good information. Thank you.
Thanks. And yeah, this is basically this is just to endorse the tendering process for these 3 projects. And that's about it.
Okay, great report.
Thanks.
No further questions. So I have a motion here by Councillor Gunston and seconded by Mayor Bridge that Council of the Town of Minto receives the report from the Roads and Drainage Manager dated January 19th, 2021 regarding 2021 proposed road and sidewalk construction projects. And further, the Council of the Town of Minto directs staff to proceed with the individual tendering processes for sidewalk replacements and installation as proposed, resurfacing of the 3rd line of Minto and the Allen Street East reconstruction project. Okay, one last chance for questions. Okay, seeing none, all in favor? And that carries. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Turn the chair back to Mayor Bridge. And you're on mute.
Councillor Anderson already knows she's next, right?
Okay. Could, Mr. Mayor, I'm at 5%. I plugged my machine in, but I'm not sure whether it's going to continue or not. So if I get,
you're at 5%.
Yeah, if I get, that's probably all my life, but.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll try to rush you. I don't know what 5% is in time travel, but we'll go.
Well, I was at 100% when I.
All right. Go ahead, Councilor Anderson.
Good evening. We have a report here from our fire chief about a fire underrated survey, and I'll let him explain it to you.
I'm just going to do it really very briefly tonight because it's in the report. So we have been contacted by Fire Underwriter Survey to complete their survey to work on the rating that the town has. It has been a long time since this has been done. And traditionally in the past, a lot of our mutual companies in this area and that had not purchased FUS's services. But as more companies diminish and I guess get bigger because of amalgamations and buyouts and that, and just more companies are starting to use FUS as service, I think it's becoming relevant that we take a look at FUS's survey and go through the process to complete it. I lost my train of thought. So FUS's survey involves a lot of the water department. It involves the fire department, our firefighters are training, all that type of stuff that they're going to survey and ask. So the goal is to hopefully improve on our rating, which will in turn hopefully save some money in commercial and industrial insurance rates. What FUS does is if a company underwrites the policy for whatever large commercial or industrial property, they will ask FUS is what is the town's water usage capabilities and what's the fire department's capabilities, and FUS will provide them with a rating. And then they use that rating to underwrite their policy for whichever company they're being contacted by. So obviously the better rating we have, the better that they're going to get on their insurance rate. So the goal is to go through the process with FUS, complete the survey and hopefully improve our rating. So we were just asking and advising council and asking for permission to begin the process and start going through their survey.
Are there any questions? Deputy Mayor Turton?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Anderson. What's all the fuss, Chris? So are they picking on us or are they doing this with all fire services?
No, they traditionally do with all fire services. They have picked on us for many, many years, and I've just politely I said that we're not really interested, because I did talk to many mutual companies and servers, talked to a lot of our local brokers, and they'd never even heard of FUS. But times have changed and companies have gotten bigger and whatnot, and now more are starting to use the service. The other municipality that I work with, they just got their insurance premium back for the township, and one of the things they said in there that the increase in their insurance costs this year was a company that bought out part of their liability policy subscribes to FUS, and FUS has given that municipality a poor rating, and that was attributable to that. So it'll probably be the same for us. So it won't hurt. It's gonna take a lot of time and a lot of effort, but we're not worried about that, and we'll hopefully see some benefits to it.
So it's something then, if we approve it, you're going to get started. Is that a lengthy process?
It probably will be. They require a lot of documentation from both us and from the water department that we will work to provide them. But a lot of it we have now, and we have in digital format because of a lot of the good work the water department's done over the years, and GIS and all that kind of stuff. So we'll be able to send that in a lot more efficiently than what we would back in the paper days.
And you have Gord.
And we have Gord. Yep. So
good luck.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll read the recommendation. The Council of the Town of Minto received the fire underwriters survey report from the fire chief, and further that council authorizes the fire services management team to engage with the fire underwriter survey staff to begin completing the survey with the goal of improving the fire services rating for the town of Minto. Can I have a mover for that?
Through you, County Councillor Anderson. I do have it moved by Deputy Mayor Turton and seconded by Mayor Bridge.
I wondered that, but I couldn't see it here, so. All right, all in favor then? Anybody opposed? Perfect, that's passed. And I'll pass the chair back to Mayor Bridge.
Thanks, Councilor Anderson. And next up is other businesses closed. I didn't hear anybody, so can maybe move through that. Anybody got anything? Good. Moved by Councilor Elliott, second by Councilor McKenzie, that the committee of the whole convenes in the regular council meeting. All in favor? Trying to get this done before Councilor Elliott loses his power. Any notices of motion? Seeing none. Moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Councillor Gutson, that the Council of Town of Minto ratifies motions made in the committee of the whole. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Bylaws. Moved by Councillor Anderson, second by Deputy Mayor Turton, the bylaw number 2021-05 to amend zoning bylaw 0186 is amended by rezoning part lots 84 and 85, concession C, Town of Harrison. Town of Minto will be introduced, read first, second, and third time, and passed an open council and seal of the corporation. All in favor? Okay. Moved by Councillor McKenzie, second by Councillor Elliott. Bylaw number 2021-06 to amend zoning bylaw 0186 is amended by rezoning of 9820 Ski Road, Town of Minto from site-specific agriculture A49 to agricultural A. Be introduced, read first, second, and third time, and passed an open council and seal of the corporation. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Gunson, second by Councillor Dirksen, the bylaw number 2021-07 to confirm actions of the Council of the Corporation of Town of Minto respecting a meeting held January 19th, 2021, be introduced, read first, second, and third time, passed open council and seal of the corporation. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Turton, second by Councillor Anderson, that the Council of Town of Minto adjourn to meet at the call of the mayor. Are you all right there, Councillor Elliott? You good? Okay.
I made
Good
it.
meeting. Good meeting, everybody. Take care. Stay safe. Bye
Good
now.
night.